Hi everyone, and welcome to this year's March Madness special. I'm Matthew Weininger, and I'm here with
Mr. Manning from the Social Studies Department.
And Mr. Howley from the English Department.
and we're here to talk about this year's March Madness tournament. Now, Gonzaga coming into this season were the favorites and maintained that same energy all year, being ranked the #1 team in the nation. How do you see them playing in this year's tournament?
Mr. Howley, you want to start?
You know, I'll take this one because I've always been a fan of Gonzaga. So I think they're going to do well, but that might be the homer in me, just like really pulling for them and wanting to do well. But Mark Few is a coach. He's been there how many times in a row? He knows what he's doing, and I like teams that have been together for a while. And so I think their guard play, coupled with that, is going to help them to really do well. Going in with the bullseye on their back, so I think that's going to be tough, but I've got them going deep, and I'm pulling for them the whole time.
Yeah, when I go through my brackets, I like to look for experience, not only from the coach, but from the players. And Gonzaga certainly has that experience needed in the tournament. I think they're going to rebound from their Final Four appearance last year, and I think Gonzaga is a solid pick to make it all the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that last year they got very close, and I think that they have the squad to do it this year. Moving on, Duke's Coach K is in his final season of what is one of the best coaching careers we've ever seen. What are your expectations on Duke for the tournament, and what do you think of Duke's Coach K's career?
Well, I'll start with overall his career has been phenomenal. I mean, to last anywhere for 40 years is pretty impressive, 40 years plus. The night of the North Carolina game was, for me as a fan, incredible to see with all those players out on the floor at one time. It really shows the magnitude of his career and the impact he's had on his Duke family. I'm not that optimistic, though, with Duke in this tournament, and it's tough for me to say because I am really a fan. But they arguably have the best player in the country with Pablo Banchero, which is something that you look for to make a deep tournament run. But when the biggest stage this year, they really haven't played well. And one of the things I also look for is guard play, and I don't know if they have that guard play to make it deep into the tournament. Not to mention Davidson, Michigan State, Alabama, Texas Tech are all in their bracket, and Gonzaga, which is the overall #1 seed. So this could be a year where they get bounced early and not even make the Sweet 16, although I would love for the sentimental Final Four, Coach K cutting down the nets.
Classic, yeah.
But there's just a lot going on this year. I don't know if they're going to do it.
The committee didn't do him any favors, with where they put him, and a lot of times I feel they do. It's funny, you've got a coach, big Coach K fan. I appreciate him, but I'm a UNC guy, so I'm always pulling against him, which is why I know how good he is. Because whenever you're rooting
Always
against
playing
him,
him.
yeah, and they just, he always does everything. It's always done it with different players too. Sometimes he's got big guys, sometimes he's got guards, so he always found a system to work with his team, which I thought was really the hallmarks of a coach. And just, you think of anybody else that's as synonymous with a school as Coach K is with Duke. It's going to be so weird to watch a game and he's not there. And like what you said, all those players coming back, seeing them, it's like, the fact that he can go coach NBA guys and bring them to a gold medal because of the respect that he carries is phenomenal. But yeah, I have to agree with Coach Manning over there. I do not think that this tournament has the storybook ending that everybody wants, although a lot of people will be rooting for him.
And to add on, I think Duke got very lucky getting a 2 seed. I think that coming into the tournament with losses against North Carolina, not winning the ACC, I think that they're being very generous with getting a 2 seed. So I do not see them going very far, and I do agree. I think they can be an early exit this year. Yep. Next question. Do any of you have a favorite March Madness moment?
Well, somebody who's played on the court and knows what it's like in March. Why don't you start with this one?
Yeah, when I thought about your question there, the first thing I thought of was March tournament of 1998. It was one of the only times a 15 seed beat a 2 seed, and that was when Princeton beat UCLA. And one of the reasons why that was a favorite moment of mine, because the following fall, I then played against that Princeton team. And I remember stepping onto the floor at Princeton thinking that this was my chance to play against Brian Earl and Gabe Lewellis, the same guys that beat UCLA the year before. And I quickly realized that I wasn't ready. I think I had maybe 15 turnovers in that game, and it didn't go very well for me, but it was quite a memorable experience playing that team that had that iconic upset. And if you watch the kind of opening montage of March Madness this year, they always show that clip of Princeton beating UCLA with that backdoor cut.
Classic
so
game,
that's one of my favorite memories.
That backdoor cut is great. That's why I let you go first, because that would have been mine, but you had a better story to tell about that one. I like around the same time, the following year, Valpo.
Yeah.
Bryce Drew with like if you haven't seen the play, Google it real quick. You can call it the shot, and it'll come up. The pass to I forget the player's name, but then the tip right over to Bryce Drew. But of course, if you want to go with like last second shots, then there's the Leitner shot. So, and of course, who was on the sideline? Coach K, and Grant Hill throws that pass. So it's like stars all over the place in that that shot that beat Kentucky from Leitner. So, but every year there'll be another moment this year that like we'll talk about next year.
Everything's unpredictable.
Yep.
Who do you both have winning this year's tournament?
So right now I'm torn between Gonzaga and Arizona. As much as I love the upsets in a tournament, history would suggest that it's usually a 1 or 2 seed that is the safest bet to win it. And Gonzaga certainly has that experience that we're talking about, but Arizona's coming in. I think they're healthy. They're ready to go. They have 3 losses on the year. I think everybody's going to sleep on them a little bit with that East Coast bias because they play so late at night, but they're stacked and they're ready to go. So if you had to make me pick right now, I think I would go Arizona over Gonzaga.
Their bracket's not bad either. I think they have a strong chance of coming out of that bracket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my pick to come out of that bracket. I think it's interesting. The East Coast bias is usually there, but if you look at the number 1 seeds, they're all nobody from the ACC, Big East, or Big Ten, right? So they're all like the other part of the country. And I think, well, with that being said, though, I'm going to go with Gonzaga to win it all, which again is a little bit me of the homer in me. I've been pulling for them for years since they were like little upset darlings, and now I think getting to the Final Four last year, I think was a big step. They make that step to get there, cut down the nets to get there, and now I think they're going to take that a step further because now you have all those guys that have been there, done that. And I think they've got unfinished business. And I think that reminds me of Virginia from a couple years ago. Getting bounced as the first 1 seed ever to get bounced, to come back the next year and to win it all. That sour taste, there's nothing that'll motivate you more than tasting that disappointment and coming back. So my pick is Gonzaga, a little bit of a homer pick, but that's just because, I love what they do and I love what they're about. But, it really, like any of those number 1 or 2 teams are in contention, and who knows, you'll get a 6, you'll get an 11 that's going to make some headway into the tournament and screw everything up. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think both picks are great. I actually have a dark horse winning the whole thing. I think Virginia Tech has a shot to win the whole thing. I think they prove themselves winning the ACC, and I just think that them coming together, I think they have a really good bracket chance to just win the whole thing.
If they play and shoot the ball the way they did against Duke, they're going to be in it.
Without a doubt.
To wrap it up, what is your favorite part about March Madness?
My favorite part about March Madness, it is the only time of the year where if Dr. Mitchell or Mr. Bickman walks into my room and I have a game on the big screen, it is completely appropriate and acceptable.
Yeah, I like the unpredictability, the energy, just on Thursday, walking around here, people, did you hear what's the score on this one? Just that everyone's kind of in it together. Like, I just love the energy that it brings and it builds, and it's just, it's just the fun, more than anything else. It's just, it's just so enjoyable. And then I really like the first weekend, I think, more than even like the championship.
There's more games.
Yeah,
more
there's not a dull moment. I go home, we'll put in a game, team I've never seen before, and all of a sudden, that's my new favorite player for the week, and then until they get bounced, and then you got to find somebody else to go with.
Thursday and Friday are probably the greatest days of basketball.
Yeah, the whole first week is just,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think my favorite part, the upsets, the Cinderella stories. A couple years ago, Loyola Chicago. I think that's one of the best.
10th seed this year, though.
10th seed this year, yeah. They have a pretty good chance.
I like them in the first round, and I think, why not?
Yeah.
Keep going with them.
I'd like to thank my guests, Mr. Howley and Mr. Manning, for joining me for this March Madness special, and I had a great time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I had a great time, too. Thanks.
Let's meet again when March Madness is over, and we can go over all of our predictions.